Millions in Syria and Iraq are facing water shortages as the region's longest river, the Euphrates, dries up.
The Euphrates River has flowed through the Middle East for thousands of years, sustaining ancient civilizations and shaping the region's history. Today, as changing climate patterns and geopolitical tensions threaten to disrupt the river's delicate balance, the future of this vital resource is more uncertain than ever before. Let's explore the alarming changes happening in the Euphrates River and their potential implications for the region and beyond. Let's start with a quick overview of the Euphrates River. The Euphrates begins in Shatt el Arab in Eastern Anatolia, flows southward through southeastern Turkey near the provinces of Sanliurfa, Adiyaman, and Gaziantep, crosses Mesopotamia into Syria and Iraq, and then empties into the Persian Gulf at Basra. It stretches for a total of almost 2,800 kilometers, or 1,740 miles. 971 of those kilometers are located within Turkey, near the Keban district of Elazig province, where the Keban Dam sits at a height of 210 meters or 689 feet. You'll find the confluence of the Karasu and Murad rivers, both of which are considered to be headwaters of the Euphrates River. The dam was built between 1965 and 1975 as part of the GAP project. The massive Karasu Dam, with a height of 173 meters, was opened. Birachik and Karkamas are two other dams. However, the Ataturk Dam is not only the largest in Turkey, but one of the largest dams in the world. It spans the 169-meter gap between the Euphrates River and the Sanliurfa region and was built between 1983 and 1992. All of these dams in this region of Turkey were constructed to provide the locals with hydroelectric power, provide water for irrigation, and reduce the risk of flooding. In addition, these dams produce reservoirs that are both big and visually distinct. Each tunnel is 7.62 meters or 25 feet broad and 26.4 kilometers or 16.4 miles in length, and they run parallel to one another at Urfa, where the water is released from the Ataturk Dam. Agricultural land in Urfa Haran, Mardin, Ceylan Pinar, Siverek Hilvan, and Upper Mardin is irrigated with this water. The Euphrates receives water from many sources, including the Karasu, the Murat, the Tolma, the Peri, the Kelti, and the Munzir. The average elevation of the plateaus and mountains is above 1,500 meters, whereas the average elevation of the lowlands near the Euphrates is about 760 meters. The usual continental subtropical climate causes it to expand from March to June when the snow in the mountains melts, and contract from July to January when there is little rain. Its water cycle, hot dry summers, cold snowy winters, is highly dependent on precipitation in the mountains during the winter and spring. The agriculture along the Euphrates, which is vital to the regional economy, comes to a halt in the winter when cold temperatures and snowfall prevent any work from being done. Fishing is an important secondary source of income for the people who live in the Euphrates watershed. The river and the marshes are home to a wide variety of fish and other animals, including carp, barbels, catfish, spiny eel, frogs, toads, and turtles. The other creatures are similarly easily tallied. Oak trees, pistachio trees, ash forests, cattail, Mardi reed and other reeds, camel thorn, prosopis, willow, poplar, date palms, and many varieties of wildflowers may all be found growing near the rivers in this area. There were many flourishing ancient cities along the Euphrates during the reign of the Hittites and the Urartu, one of which was Zugma. The Bible also refers to the Euphrates, which connects to the Tigris, one of the four rivers that branched off from the river that flowed out of the Garden of Eden. Its name is mentioned in the book of Genesis, in Genesis chapter 2, verses 10 through 14. These four rivers are known by their Arabic names, Pishon, Gihon, Hiddekel, and Perat. Let's talk about the biblical relationship of the river. The Euphrates is mentioned in the Bible with other major rivers for their significance. In addition to being the most frequently referenced river in the Bible, the river is also the most significant river in the Bible because of the many metaphors it provides for God's might and provision. The importance of the Euphrates in the development of events described in the Bible cannot be understated, as it is mentioned in both the Old and New Testaments. The Euphrates River's importance simply cannot be overstated. God tells Adam and Eve in Genesis chapter 2 verse 14 that the Euphrates River is one of 4 waterways departing from Eden. The Euphrates is mentioned for the first time in the Hebrew scriptures. Later in the chapter, God tells Abraham that his offspring will rule the land between the Euphrates and the Mediterranean Sea. This promise was fulfilled when Joshua was selected to lead the Israelites into the country that had been given to them. The river Euphrates also has a crucial part to play in the Exodus story. In Exodus chapter 23 verse 31, God tells Moses to lead the Israelites into Canaan by showing them the way over the river. The crossing of the Jordan River is a metaphor for the Israelites' release from slavery in Egypt and their entry into a life of independence. Several times in the New Testament, references are made to the river Euphrates. In Revelation chapter 9 verse 14, it is identified as one of the 4 rivers that flow from the Garden of Eden. In Revelation chapter 16 verse 12, it is identified as one of 7 angels holding bowls with which to rain judgment on earth. In Revelation's final verse of chapter 17 verse 15, it is described as one of the 7 heads on the beast that rises from the sea. The Euphrates River has been pivotal in biblical history since the dawn of humanity. It has been a source of sustenance and survival for countless people throughout history, and its central role in the Bible's narrative cannot be overstated. The fact that it is addressed in both the Old and New Testament serves as a constant reminder that God's word is true and that his power is unrivaled. The Euphrates River is not only a significant geographical element in the Bible, but also a valuable resource in the Middle East, as it flows through Turkey, Syria, and Iraq. The name Fertile Crescent has been used to describe this area for a long time. There's been a dramatic drop in the volume of water in the Euphrates River during the past few years. The disappearance of the Euphrates River has allowed visitors to explore various caves and ancient ruins. Some people are quick to link the shrinking river to the end-of-the-world prophecies in the Bible. 2 biblical writings predict the eventual depletion of the Euphrates River. The first prophecy is taken from a larger oracle that targets Babylon. God pronounces a sentence of condemnation on the kings and sages of Babylon, together with the city's soldiers, false prophets, chariots, and treasures. Afterward, God says, "A water shortage in her territory. There will be a drying out. For the earth is full of idols, and those idols are wild with fear." Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 38. Both the Euphrates and the Tigris River supplied the city of Babylon with water throughout its history. At this moment, neither of the rivers can be said to have any water in them. Are the things that Jeremiah foretold would take place actually taking place before our very eyes right now? The second prophecy that the Euphrates River will dry up comes as part of the 7 bowl judgments that are portrayed in Revelation. These judgments are depicted as being poured forth like wine. The judgments that are carried out over the course of the 7 years of the tribulation begin with 7 seals, continue with the 7 trumpets, and come to a close with the 7 bowls. This is in Revelation chapter 16, verses 1 through 21. The judgments that come from the bowls happen towards the end of the tribulation, and they are so destructive that, if they were to continue, all human life on earth would be extinguished. During the tribulation period, the Euphrates will dry up as a result of the 6th and penultimate bowl judgment. The 6th angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east, according to Revelation chapter 16, verse 12. This prophecy not only details the judgment, but also provides an explanation for why it will occur, so that a strong army can cross the Euphrates River from the east without being opposed. Eventually, the world's rulers are predicted to convene at the place that is called Armageddon in Hebrew. Jesus will return at that time, and the battle that ensues at Armageddon will wipe out every last one of God's enemies. In the events leading up to Armageddon, the Euphrates River dries up, which is a major turning point. Do we find ourselves in the early phases of the realization of a major end times prophecy? Several potential outcomes exist in light of Jeremiah's prediction that the Euphrates River will dry up. Number 1. In 539 BC, during a military campaign led by Cyrus, king of the Persian Empire, the prophecy was fulfilled with the fall of Babylon. According to Herodotus, a Greek writer from antiquity, Cyrus diverted enough water from the Euphrates so that his army could access the city through the tunnels below. Number 2. Drought occurred at an undefined time, making the prophecy come true. The rivers Tigris and Euphrates are both decreasing in size, hence the prophecy is being fulfilled right now. Fourth, the fulfillment of the prophecy will occur during the Great Tribulation, which corresponds to the 6th bowl judgment of Revelation 16. Number 5. The prophecy will be realized twice, once in the past and once in the future, during the times just preceding the end of the world. There will come a day when John's prophecy comes true and the Euphrates River dries up entirely. The current situation with the Euphrates has nothing to do with the prophecy mentioned in Revelation 16:12. The sixth bowl judgment occurs quite close to the end of tribulation. There will be a huge number of harsh judgments in the time leading up to the sixth bowl when the Antichrist will rise to power. The two prophets with the ability to perform miracles will prophesy, and the world will be rocked by a big earthquake. The suffering is over for us at the moment. The passages in Revelation chapter 18 verses 17 through 19 imply that in the end times, Babylon will do a great amount of commerce through the ship. This is supported by the fact that Babylon is described as having a large number of ships. This suggests that the rivers in that region will, at the very least, continue to flow freely throughout the difficulty that will be occurring there. The miraculous drying up of the Euphrates River in Revelation chapter 16 verse 12 makes it feasible for an army arriving from the east to proceed toward the west. This is described in the book of Revelation, and at present, Israel is not being threatened by any army of this kind. When the time arrives for the Battle of Armageddon, the Euphrates River will, point of fact, be completely dry. There's no relationship between the current water level of the Euphrates and the verse of Revelation chapter 16 verse 12, nor is there any connection between it and the exposure of ruins and caverns or anything else of the type. Simply said, this has not occurred up to this point in time. The once mighty Euphrates River has finally dried up, marking a dramatic and unsettling shift in the natural order. This baffling event has sparked widespread alarm and concern, as a series of terrifying and inexplicable occurrences have begun to unfold in its wake. As the world grapples with the implications of the Euphrates River's disappearance, ominous signs and portents have emerged, fueling fears of impending catastrophe. The delicate balance of ecosystems has been disrupted, and the communities that once relied on the river for sustenance now face an uncertain future. In the face of these unprecedented events, humanity finds itself at a critical juncture, forced to confront its own vulnerability and the grand scheme of nature. The chilling events surrounding the drying of the Euphrates River serve as a stark reminder of the fragility of our world and the importance of safeguarding the planet for future generations. As we attempt to make sense of the terrifying phenomena accompanying this dramatic shift, we are called upon to reevaluate our relationship with nature and to take urgent action to address the environmental challenges facing our planet. In the shadow of the Euphrates River's disappearance and the terrifying events that have followed, we must unite in our efforts to restore balance and harmony to our world. We'll see you next time, and in the meantime, thanks for watching today's video. If you liked it, please hit that like button, and please subscribe